Hello everyone, Rebecca here from Simple Suburban Living, and in this video I'm going to dehydrate both canned and frozen green beans. I've never dehydrated green beans and I just want to test them out to see if I like the end result. So I've got one can of drained green beans. This was just a 16-ounce can, and I'm going to put this on the bottom tray. And the reason I'm putting it on the bottom tray is just to make it easier for me to remember. Because I want to compare and see what turns out better. If the frozen green beans turn out better, or if the canned ones turn out better, or if there's no difference. Because as an example, I might really like the frozen ones, but not like the canned ones, or vice versa. Now I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm kind of hoping that the frozen ones turn out better because there's less nutrient loss with freezing vegetables than there is with canning vegetables. And so, you know, I'm hoping that that will be a good thing, but we'll see. You know, we don't know it unless we try, right? So I'm just going to put all of these green beans on the tray. And then I also have 4 bags of the Great Value 12-ounce frozen green beans. All right, and I'm going to put one 12-ounce bag on each tray. So I have not thawed these. I just pulled them out of the freezer right before making this video. I'm just cutting the bag open, and I'm just going to dump them on. And hopefully these aren't going to fall through. You know, since they might, what I'm going to do is I'm actually, because I already had a couple fall through, and when they dehydrate, they will be more likely to fall through. So I was hoping to not use my little screens, but since I'm already having that problem, I'm going to switch to doing that. I'm not as worried about the ones on the bottom tray, the canned ones falling through, because it won't really hurt. You know, if they do, I'll still know that they were part of the canned ones. The main reason I'm kind of curious about the canned ones is because around Thanksgiving, I saw some of these huge cans of green beans, you know, the number 10 cans, and they were at my local Walmart, and they were really cheap, like $2, $2.50, something like that. So if they turn out good, it might be worthwhile that time of year when you see those cans really cheap, because everyone's buying them for, you know, churches that are providing Thanksgiving dinners or big families or things like that. So, okay, this is, again, the tray that I started off with and stuff was falling through. So I'm going to finish filling that. And I'm not too worried about if some of them fall through onto the tray below, because that tray has one of those screens on them. And yeah, rather than just take all the green beans off, I'm just going to do it like that. I might regret it, but it'll be okay. All right. I will use screens on the rest of them. And assuming that I like this in the future, I will use screens all the time. I just started with that one without a screen and didn't want to take everything off and start over again. So obviously the prep on this is really nice. I still have yet to dehydrate fresh green beans, and I'd like to try that as well. I just didn't have a time to pick up any, but I had these on hand, so I thought I would give them a try. And that one's kind of a weird color. It might be fine, but I'm going to take it out. So I like to remove anything that's clearly and obviously defective before I start dehydrating, just to be on the safe side, because we want to preserve food that is in good shape. All right, so I'm going to put on the lid. And I am using my Nesco dehydrator. Pull this up so you can see it. And you can see that it says fruit and vegetables 135 degrees. And in the instruction manual, it says all foods sweat when they begin to dry, so the temperature may be set higher than 140 during the first couple of hours of drying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to 145 just for the first 2 hours. I'm going to set a timer on my phone to remind me to come back and turn it down to 135. So I'm going to start it at 145. Let it go at 145 for 2 hours, and then I'm going to set the temperature down to 135. So I'll be sure to, at the very least, take some pictures along the way and update you on how long this took. And I'll also share with you at the end what I feel turned out better, the frozen green beans or the canned. And hopefully they'll both turn out great, but we'll have something to test, and I will let you know how they come out. See you in a bit. Okay, I checked the green beans about 2 hours in, and they were no longer frozen, and they were slightly warm to the touch, but not anywhere, not even really starting to dry, just very, very slightly. And at that time, I did turn the dehydrator down to 135. And now they've been going for about 8 hours. And you can see that they're kind of getting there, but they're still very bendy. So they are not dehydrated yet. So I might go through and pick through a couple, but I think for the most part, yeah, actually I can see some that are completely dry. So I'm going to go through and pick out those. I do want to kind of take a look at the ones that are on the very bottom, because remember, those were the canned green beans. Ooh. And you can see they look quite a bit different. Oh, this isn't, oh, but they are very, very, very bendy. But no big surprise because they're down at the bottom. So they're going to dry slower. So I'm just going to leave them on there. But it's interesting because I just want to show the difference, whoops, between the canned on the right and the frozen ones on the left. So definitely, I mean, I don't know how the frozen ones are going to look. I'm probably going to let them run overnight because I'm going to be going to bed pretty soon. But from the sheer looks of things, the frozen are turning out better than the canned. So, but we'll see. I won't really make my final decision until I have dried them all the way and then rehydrate them to see how they go. But that's how it stands right now after about 8 hours. And I'm going to, like I said, let them run overnight at, I might turn it down a little bit lower, down to like 125 or something overnight. And then I'll show you in the morning what they look like at that time. So everything is now obviously very dry. It took just a, well, you know, some of it was dry when in my last little snippet, it was already dry, but there were some that still needed to be dry. But I anticipate it took about 2 more hours for things to dry completely. And but I left it running overnight while I was sleeping, so I don't know exactly. But I wanted to show you how things turned out. Now, these on the right, these were the frozen green beans, okay? So that's what they look like. And now I'm going to just compare, and so I've got 3 of each. These ones here were the canned green beans. So see how scrawny the canned green beans are, and they were not a scrawny size. They were about the same size cut green beans, and they came out very dark and so on. So, but I wondered how would they plump up when I put them in water. So I want to show you now how they look rehydrated. And they've been in the water for quite a while. These are the previously frozen green beans. And so you can tell that they kind of look, you know, pretty much like green beans look, you know, before they were dehydrated. Here is an example of the canned. So this one in the front here, that was a canned one. And these have been rehydrating for the same amount of time. It's actually been about 45 minutes, but not because it took that long, but because I was in the middle of some other things. The frozen ones that I dehydrated started plumping up pretty quickly. And you can tell that the canned green beans, they never really did plump up very well. So bottom line is, I think that if you're not canning fresh ones, I still need to give fresh ones a try to see how they work. But it seems like the frozen definitely works far better than the canned. I do plan to dehydrate frozen again, but I'm going to test out fresh green beans as well. But the frozen taste pretty much like the frozen taste before they've been dehydrated. So the texture and everything remains pretty much the same with the frozen ones once I've rehydrated them. They're very much the same as if before they were dehydrated. So this is a kind of an interesting experiment to try. If you're ever wondering if you're going to like dehydrating something, I recommend trying it in a small amount first. You know, rather than like buying a whole bunch, not knowing how it's going to turn out for you. Just test it out with a little bit first and see how it goes, and then decide whether or not you want to do more. So as an example, I had mentioned how, you know, especially around the holiday time, there's those huge cans of green beans, really cheap. I will not buy them. I mean, even if you gave me a bunch of cans of green beans for free, I would probably not ever dehydrate them because I think they just didn't work out well, whereas the frozen ones did. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would like the video. And of course, if you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.